So we're not going to touch those things. But what we do need to do is find a way to invest in technology so that the people who love tender greens can get value out of it. So we created a loyalty program that set up a tier system so that the most loyal people received, incentives for coming more frequently, but also, in the marketing associated with making people aware of who we were and that we had a loyalty program. I mean, that's sort of where we invested a lot of money.
Okay. Are you still using that loyalty program today?
Yes.
What is that program? Can you share? Was it in-house or did you outsource?
We outsourced it to Punchh.
Okay.
And it's, on tendergreens.com now, we have an app for it, but I can tell you, and I know in a second, we're going to be talking about what's going on right now in the world, but our loyalty program has really saved our lives. If we didn't double down on the loyalty program in this economy, we would be in big trouble.
This is a big challenge for a lot of people, is leveraging technology to increase that human element of loyalty. There's a lot of options out there too. It's almost overwhelming. Like what made you guys land or settle on Punchh? What was it about Punchh that appealed to you and what you guys were trying to accomplish?
So what I'll tell you is the team before I got there landed on Punchh. They were in the early stages of creating a loyalty program. And this is actually, in line with what you're asking in terms of the loyalty program itself. So they asked some basic questions. They came up with the idea of launching Punchh. Punchh seemed to have the basic tools that were necessary to build a loyalty platform, but they didn't think through the program itself as much as probably they needed to, because when you're creating a loyalty program, if you don't do it well, you can sort of create disincentives, right? So you don't want to have a loyalty program that only rewards people who come so frequently that you're never going to get people past a certain tier. So there was a program in place. It wasn't really launched. It wasn't really developed. When my team came in, they actually sort of redesigned the loyalty program to make it more aligned with, again, human incentives.
So it sounds like you need to make, if you're approaching, if you're taking the tiered approach, you need to make the tiers attainable.
Yes.
Because if the first hurdle is so high to get over, then they don't get into the funnel. They don't.
Yeah, you need to make the tiers attainable, and you need to make the rewards interesting. I mean, if it's like you hit this tier, now you get something that is not relevant, then the person loses interest.
What's an example of an attainable tier, like the first tier? Like what's a realistic first tier to get people to get over that hump?
Well, I mean, it would be so different for every business, but one thing that I would suggest is, look at how your consumer currently behaves, right? So if you're saying something like 30% of our customers are doing this or buying this or coming this often, then that's probably a good place to set your first tier, right? So it's like you want those people who are 30% of your customers to be doing whatever they're doing more often. And then you push the tiers up so that you can get those people already doing that to get to the next tier.
Okay, so you kind of take something that people are already doing, and you just give a little, what's one little extra?
Thank you. Like a little bit of a, here's a logo item or a free gift or, kids eat free, like whatever it might be, something that's just a little bit of a reward, which starts out as sort of like a thank you for being so loyal.
You mentioned some incentives that you share. Like what are some of your favorite incentives you think to add value? How can you add value in these different tiers without necessarily breaking the bank? Like can you create perceived value?
Yeah, I mean, again, it really depends on the customer and the business, but it might be something like, if you're noticing that 30% of your customers are getting a certain drink or getting a cookie, like maybe your first incentive is that once a week you throw one of those things in because it's something they love already, and that it would be great for them to be like, oh, on my cookies, on the house today. So again, something they already like, that they're already going to do. If it's something that's totally outside their regular behavior, they're just going to be annoyed by it.
Got you. So you're a psychology major. I'm really kind of curious. Do you know why these loyalty programs are so effective? What's going on with how we work and why we do the things we do that make these programs so effective?
Well, they're only effective if they're built correctly. And the ones that are built correctly make people feel good about the decisions they're making. I mean, I think um, if I feel like this program is rewarding me for being in the know or being smart, or for being, a regular customer, then that makes me feel like I'm spending my time wisely. And I think people like to feel good about the decisions they make.
Got you. So you already mentioned that this loyalty program has saved your butt with this, pandemic that's here. And you can't, I feel like at this point, if you didn't already have a pretty well established loyalty program, you kind of missed. Is that a false statement? Do you think it's too?
Well, I would make a distinction. There's loyal customers, and then there's loyalty program, right? So we have lots of customers who come to Tender Greens all the time, and they either, before all of this, they came in person. After this, they might be purchasing our product through Postmates, DoorDash. They may come and take the product and leave. That doesn't necessarily mean they're invested in our loyalty program itself, which basically is an opt-in system where you have, your name in there, and your meals are being sort of recorded. I would say if you don't have a loyal customer going into this, you would be in trouble. Yeah. I think if you have the added benefit of a database of customers that you know come to you frequently and you know what they like, then that gives you a whole nother level that you can access during a time like this.
Interesting, because we call it loyalty programs. We also call it reward programs. And I think that the reward programs is probably a better use of words. Because like you said, they're already loyal. You're just rewarding them for their loyalty.
That's right. And there's lots of loyal people who aren't part of the program.